Hello, I'm David Skvor, artist and author of the book, The Trinity of Art. Today's painting we'll be looking at is called Pearl, Black Kisses Black. And probably the best way to get started today is to read you my quote out of my book. Pearl appeared today out of the white space as I was pondering my square root theory on abstraction in relation to William II. William II was a painting I was working on. She drew herself literally. She's an apparition of sorts, trying to explain her own creation. She beckons me to immortalise her in paint. And a little later I thought more and said, with Pearl, it is like I'm trying to undo creation and piece together how it was done. It's like unpicking a piece of fabric to see how it was made. And basically, that's what happened. I was working on one painting, and to the left of me was a piece of paper, and I was just jotting down little squiggles, and it kept eating at me. And so I'm trying to finish this painting, which is probably the boring part. When it's all done, you just put in the final touches. So this one is giving me the hurry up. It had a life of its own. And I've got the initial sketch, which I'll show you. It started off from not much. So in life drawing, from what I can remember at school, and I've probably got it wrong, they used to say, to get your proportions right, obviously you have a straight line down the middle. That's the head. The body should be 7 times the head. And within that, all the structures fall into place. So you get your proportions right. I don't know, some people might say 9, some might say 8. But anyway, 7 happened for me. So there it was. I just sketched that down. And then when I had a few minutes later, I started, I suppose, connecting the dots. And it's very interesting because when I'd got my initial sketch or concept, I went to the drafting table, which pen and ruler. And this is what I come up with. Now, the amazing thing about this for me was, all I've done is put 7 ellipses stacked on top of each other. So then I had to find out, all right, well, so they're all equal size, equal proportion. And I said, well, across here would be the hips, across here the waist, the shoulders, the feet. And the more I did things, I thought, well, if I draw a line from there to there, back to there, just a triangle, that's the feet. There's the hips. And then if you draw a line across here to the point of the neck there and down, another triangle, and then you do a triangle from here to here, down to this point here, you end up with the shape of a woman, the female form. And as I said to you earlier in one of my episodes, in a straight line, you must put expression. Well, here we have it in spades. Straight lines, but we have the softness of the female form. There's expression. That's probably where Black Kisses Black comes from, because each one of these ellipses and the straight lines, they just touch each other. So there's none of these lines encroach upon the other. And it blew my mind when I did it. But that gives it a nice sparkliness. Maybe that's where Pearl, the name Pearl, come from. So in having done this, as you know, as said previously, I have to grid things up. That's the method I use to draft it on paper so I can get it onto the canvas. And in doing so, I've written here in my notes, amazing juxtapositions or mathematical consistencies. Coincidence. I as explained to you earlier, are no good at maths. And boom, boom, boom. These things just appeared. So me searching with that mind trying to understand why, I was given a lesson on creation itself, I suppose. You know those, it felt like, you know those musicians you see on a movie or something, and they're walking down the street and they can see all the notes, you know, it might be the wind, and they see the notes of the wind, and then they hear a bird. Or those mathematicians or those scientist people, and they go, EMC squared, and they can see the formula. Well, I don't see any of them. But the colours and light, I don't know, I feel it, but I don't know if I've shown you one of these. This is what I call a colour wheel. Every time I do a painting, when I've drafted it and sketched it, I have to decide what colour the lines will be or what colour anything is going to be. And this is what I call a colour wheel. Now, for all intents and purposes, I reckon I could probably sell these better than I can in my paintings because they look pretty cool. So you'll see here there's all notes I've got everywhere about. When I lay one colour next to another, there seems to be a reaction, and I'm seeking to make them comfortable to fit and to get the feeling I want. So in one of my notes here, I said this looks like a nebulae. Now, if we consider what I've done here is almost trying to find how the bones and sinews were formed inside the womb, like that, the creation itself, this colour wheel, coincidentally by itself, looked like, oh, here I've written, the centre of the universe. This looks like a nebulae. One of those things out in space where some people think, oh, that's where, you know, creation happened, that spark or Big Bang or whatever they say. So I've also used colours that I didn't end up putting on here. They didn't work. Laying them side by side, they react to each other. And so in the end, I've diluted my palette to what I would normally do. I like the primary colours, which you'll probably notice in a lot of my work, but I've used pink. Well, it was originally on here, this magenta, but I've broke it down and down and down, and it gives the softness of the female form, you know, that nice softness. Even the green. I suppose green is near the ground. It was grass. Originally, I was going to do the ellipses in gold. I don't know why, but I didn't, and I bailed out on that, ended up with black. It just didn't work. But I've signed my signature in gold, so it did make it onto the canvas. Grey here, it gives it, grey's a funny colour, which I'm going to explain about later, but it doesn't have any friends, doesn't belong anywhere. It's almost, that's that depth of the universe. It's a strange one. Red, obviously, quite strong and dramatic. I kept that as primary as I could. So it's very interesting that when I talked about this triangle, obviously there's no extra arm, but by having it come in like that, it creates that gentleness. I've put an extra ellipse in here just to cover the woman's abdomen in some ways. It just felt right to do that. I like the way this one here crosses the two kneecaps. Obviously, these are the shoulders. Look, it's a hard thing to explain. The painting revealed itself to me. I think I've got a bigger lesson than I'm trying to tell you. So it's a beautiful thing that I've created, and, you know, some people said to me, oh, I love that painting. I thought, yeah, it's only some straight lines. But, yeah, it's analysis, observation, creation. Today's painting has been as much a discovery to me as hopefully it has been to you. My world was opened up by it. And, you know, with mathematics, you can't cheat, you can't bend the rules. It's the formula's right or it's wrong. And I know I've been guided by mathematics here, even though I'm no good at maths. And I probably, my colour wheels, for me, I've written here a little square root and method of madness of my maths. This is my maths. These are the formulas I see in the air. These are the musical notes. But it's my colour, the colour wheel. That's my music, and I don't know why. So the theory or the topic, and this has revealed itself to me over the time, the Trinity of Art, line, shape and colour. It's true. It works. Now, I think it might be time in my next episode to delve into this colour theory. And it's going to be interesting. How do I explain my madness? Could be fun. I'll see you there.